In this video, we're going to go ahead and write a test to test the patch of a beer object. So now what we want to do is create the test method. And there's a couple nuances to actually testing the action of this. And here, previously in the customer controller, we did show you how to use this argument captor. So I'm going to refactor the beer test to do that also. So we'll go ahead and do this. And I'm going to introduce a second one for the beer object too. I do like using this because it does give us a reusable component. So now here, this just goes away. We don't have to declare that. And now we can modify our other test to reuse that captor in other places. And I do want to use it in this patch operation. So here, again, we're going to be grabbing that beer object. Just grab the first one. And in this case, one thing that we can do here is I only want to do a test of updating the name of the beer. So that's the only thing that we want to change here. And we don't need to give it a fully qualified object. If you were doing some type of ad hoc JSON, what we can do with Jackson is we can just create a map and do string object, call it creatively beer map. And then what we can do on the beer map is we can put the key becomes the JSON property. So, and I can just say new name like so. So now we'll get a simple JSON object being passed in with just beer name, which is really mimicking what a client would do when we're using a patch operation. They're not going to send out a fully qualified object. They'll just send the properties that they wish to be changing. And using a map object with just a string key and objects is a perfect way to set up some ad hoc JSON for testing. So now we want to do MockMVC, perform. In this case, we're going to say patch. Remember, this goes against the ID property, so that's where we need our beer object still. Content type is going to be application JSON. And we want to set back just application JSON. And we are going to expect status of no content for the patch operation. And of course, we need to add the exception in. Now, the patch operation, that I don't think that returns any value. Let's double check that. So there's our patch, and not returning. If we are, we're not even looking at it. So yeah, that turns void, just double checking that. So now what we can do is say verify beer service patch beer by ID, and now we'll use our two captors. So that sets up the capture of that, and just like we did before, we can use the same assert that, save ourselves a little typing there. And then the next thing we can do is say assert that. Is equal to, and then we'll use the beer argument captor value and say get beer name. So we'll write that assertion. So a little bit different from what we saw before because we are using this map object, and also notice I made a mistake here. We do need to pass in the content. That is going to be very helpful. And here we want to use our object mapper, write value as string, and we'll pass in the beer map. So a very important step there that I almost missed before running the test. We do need to give our request a body, which is going to be the JSON of the beer map object. So let's go ahead and test that now. And we can see that we are in the green. So let me minimize this. So here for the test beer, a couple things I did change here. We are now using Mockito captor annotation to set up a UID captor and a beer argument captor. And of course, here we'd probably want to go back and refactor the other test to take advantage of running assertions against these where it makes sense. I specifically want to show that technique here in the test patch beer because I do want to verify that we are getting a proper ID passed in to our patch beer by ID. And then also I want to make sure that beer name is properly binding. So we are actually getting the beer name to this. So this does look like it's a good test. I will check this into GitHub for your reference.